Welcome to the Not So Cool Kids podcast, episode 52. That's right, we are entitling this one, That is One Big Twinkie. That's right, because tonight we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of one of the better films, some would say best films, ever created. And that's called Ghostbusters. Yeah, you might know it. You know, it's just a little film. It's an indie project, really.
Seen it once or twice.
Yeah, exactly. You may have seen it once or twice. And, you know, it spawned a sequel, and a much debatable trilogy is in the works. So we welcome two guests this evening. Vincent Nordone. Would that be a correct pronunciation?
You got it right the first time, yeah.
Owner of V330 Creations.
Yeah, I need a better name than that, huh? We could call it V330. It was kind of it's been my online moniker for years, and it's not very original, but it works for now. Yeah.
If it doesn't you know, if it suits you, then wear it. Yeah, that's what I always say. And Andrew, you're gonna have to pronounce the name for me, Andrew.
It's Boeche.
Andrew Boeche. Now that's got to be Southern, brother.
No, a lot of people think it is. From my understanding, it's French.
It's French. Okay. So Andrew Boeche is kind of a big collector, if you will. The guy's been collecting, exactly, he's been collecting Ghostbusters paraphernalia for 25 years now.
Yeah, good. Little bit, maybe a little bit more now, but yeah, right around there.
Right, so he's got a huge collection, so we're going to get into all that. So these two guys are big Ghostbusters fans. Vincent alone, this guy makes professional grade props and one which any Ghostbuster fan will literally be frothing at the mouth for, and that's the pack. Tell us a little bit, Vincent, about what you do and why people come to you.
Well, I really started this as a hobby years ago. Never intended it to be what it is now. Basically, I decided years ago I wanted to do a Ghostbusters costume for Halloween, and I did it. I basically just started doing Google searches and looking for parts, and it led me to GhostbustersFans.com, which is the biggest Ghostbuster fan community in the world, which you would think it's the only one, but there are quite a few, and it is the largest. And it's honestly, it's massive, and it is heavily active every day. We're talking 30 years after the film, the community is still thriving. And I would say, honestly, this year probably one of the biggest years ever, as far as activity and online interactions and everything. It's been really big. The last really big year, I think, was 2009 when the game came out, PS3 and Xbox game.
Oh yeah.
That caused a big boom, and I think it opened up. I think 2009 was the first time in probably a good 20 years where the merchandise started coming out real heavy and people started paying attention again. And I certainly credit that to the game, which some people didn't like the game. I loved it. I thought it was to me that's the sequel. That's the sequel everyone's been waiting on. Had all the original cast. Anyway, I'm getting way off target here. So basically, I started building this stuff. I just started on my own, just building for myself, and I would say the community itself has been the biggest draw for me. I made a lot of really good friends. I've gone all over the country to meet up with these guys and hung out, and we've done parades and we've done events and we've done just silly nonsense. And through that, it was like I built the first one, and it wasn't good. I don't even want people to see it. It wasn't very good. It was a Halloween prop. It was a Halloween costume. Did it in like a week. It wasn't great. And then I, really liked it, and I wanted to do a better one. So I did another one. And then I did another one. And then like every time you're like, oh, I got to get this better. I got to do this. I should have done this, differently this time. I should have used that part, or, this part doesn't quite fit. I'm not going to buy from that guy again. And you kind of like, I'm at the point now where I just have kind of what I feel like is the opus of Pack. And I kind of can just knock them out pretty quick now. And surprisingly, I actually don't have one of my own right now. It's not here. It's on loan, so I can't even show off a finished one. But I do have like some in between stage parts that I can show off later.
Yeah, very cool. And you've got an amazing video, which is kind of tutorials, some of like the grade of Pack that you have, and that's really kind of a cool thing, because I mean, when we're talking about props, people, we're talking lights, music, special effect noises, and all this built into what looks like screen grade type Pack, from the movie, and you were telling me, we were communicating via email, that there's a couple of different, versions of that Pack.
Yeah, basically, so in the original film, there were two versions. There was the stunt version, which was basically a solid styrofoam piece with a couple little holes cut out for lights, very simple static lights. And they used that for all the like heavy action scenes. Like, you'll see them the most on the rooftop fighting Gozer, and you can really see. There's some scenes, like there's one scene where Bill Murray backs up against the wall, and you can see the Pack like collapse, because it's made of styrofoam. You can see it compress. And the other big ion arm, the tower that sticks off the top of the Pack, is actually, they cast them upside down on the stunt Packs in the film. So they're like, it's, you don't notice it when you're watching the movie nonchalant, but as many times as I've built these and seen them, it's glaring. You don't miss it now. So they used, that was the stunt version. They basically, when Venkman is laying on his back slimed, he's laying on a foam Pack, and on the rooftop when they're getting knocked around, they're wearing foam. When they fall into the street, they're wearing foam. But most of the rest of the time in the film, they use what's called a hero Pack, and the originals were built. They were built rugged. They are a fiberglass shell. It's all a one-piece shell, and then all the parts that attach are aluminum. And then the main thrower, everyone's got a different name for it now. I've always liked Neutrona Wand. The Neutrona Wand was all aluminum. And a couple years back, some friends and I actually got a chance to handle Venkman's screen-used hero Pack. It's still intact. It was used in the first film, and it was reused in the second film. They refit it. And there's also some differences between the two films. Like they changed some parts. I think mostly probably because of availability. They changed the ribbon cable and the crank knob and the Alice frame. They added more padding on the straps because I guess it was pretty rough on the actors wearing these for long shoots. And they're heavy. One of mine is about 35 pounds. I've seen inside of the original, and it's got like 2 motorcycle batteries inside it. It's heavy. It had to be 50, 60 pounds. So, but anyway, yeah. So there was the stunt version and the hero version, and what everyone comes to me for is the hero version.
Awesome.
And that's
yeah. I was hitting up Vincent. I'm like, dude, I gotta save up for one of these, and I need to know what I'm looking at here. So, but anyway, so. That's amazing. So, I mean, you've turned basically what you love as a passion into giving people, the best that they can get in, a prop, I guess you could say, that they can actually like physically become a Ghostbuster, I guess you could say. I mean, that's just amazing. Now, I got to ask, what organization are you part of, the Ghostbusters organization? I know there's like tons of them all across the states.
Yeah. I lived in San Diego, California for 8 years. And friends and I had founded the SoCal Ghostbusters. That was kind of my group for years. I moved to Denver, Colorado about 3 years ago. And like I said, I've been involved with the community, and I know all these people all over the country. So when I moved here, I already had friends in a group waiting kind of with open arms. So now I'm kind of with the Denver Ghostbusters. But we don't, honestly, I've been so inundated with work and other things that I haven't really done a lot of events lately. I haven't suited up in a long time. I got to suit up at the Salt Lake Comic-Con. My girlfriend and I drove out there for the weekend, just kind of on a whim. And it was our anniversary too, so we kind of.
That's awesome.
Your anniversary.
That's one way to celebrate your anniversary for sure.
Yeah. And you know, she's like me. That's right up our alley. That's, you know, that's us. That's better than a fancy dinner.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you guys do a lot of cosplay. I was looking at your photos just not too long ago. Holy cow, man! I love the Dread cosplay. Yeah. That's amazing.
I can't take too much credit for the Dread stuff. The suit was done by Real Images, Kurt Struess, and then that was something that I did a lot of the accessory parts and the, you know, belt pieces, and I, you know, painted the little parts and everything. But the main suit is the you know, that wasn't done by myself, so I don't want to take credit. But it looks pretty badass, right? Like
it looks pretty badass. So that's all that really matters.
Yeah,
now, Drew, I got to get to you, Mr. Ghostbuster. This guy, I love it. I love that you got. Now, you've had some press lately because you have, I mean, it's a huge collection of Ghostbuster paraphernalia. What are we talking about, man? Is this something that started when you were a kid and you just kind of, you constantly went on with it, and now it's become kind of like taking over your house or your homestead, or what's going on, man?
Yeah, you know, I'm not really sure how the whole, you know, me liking Ghostbusters thing came about. I just know that as far back as I can remember, I was always into it. I always liked it. I always watched the cartoon and later the movies, and basically it would have been, you know, close to Christmas of 1988. So I would have been about 3 years old. Don't ask how I remember anything that long ago. You know, it's tough to remember 10 minutes ago sometimes. But I had been begging my parents for the longest time to get me some Ghostbusters. I wanted some Ghostbusters, and they kept telling me Santa Claus was going to bring me some. Finally, one night we were at Walmart, and at the time we lived in the small town of York, Nebraska. So we were in Walmart one night, and they finally caved in, and my very first Ghostbusters item of any kind was a Fright Features Egon Spengler figure. And within about 10 minutes, the tie was broken off. But I'm sitting here right now. I'm looking, and I probably have 15 or 16 of them. And,
oh my gosh! You made up for the broken tie one, huh?
I have one. I have one that still has the tie, and he's in a little plastic case, and just to basically ensure that the tie goes nowhere. But yeah, you know, it's something I've always been into. You know, I mean, when I hit my teenage years, I was really into professional wrestling, and then it was, you know, being more worried about getting laid. You know,
which is always high on the priority list.
Well, you know, and then you get married and it doesn't happen. I hope my wife didn't hear that. But,
you know, it's live, right?
It's always been what I've been into, and it's not something that I've ever stopped collecting. You know, I've moved to right now. I'm back where I grew up in Nebraska. But I've lived in places in Iowa. I lived down in Tennessee. And my Ghostbusters collection is always the one thing that follows me wherever I go. I would say up until, the last few years has really been when it's kind of gotten into crazy hoarder obsession mode. And now, anytime I see anything Ghostbusters, I buy it, no matter what it is. I mean, like I said, I could have 10 or 15 of something, and if I see another one somewhere, I'll buy it. And I get just as excited finding, item number 16 as I did, getting the first one.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about right there. It's the hunt, if you will, Andrew.
Yep.
That you go through. I mean, now that's got to kind of go back to, though, what you do professionally is you have kind of like a vintage toy setup, and I'm sure, you probably are on the lookout for good Ghostbuster merch that you can kind of get in bulk, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'm out every day looking for old toys. It was a lot easier before that jerk Jordan Hembro, the toy hunter, came along.
Now he's buying you out. Huh? It's like a duel at the toy corral.
The problem is, and I'm not sure how the rest of the country is, but around here, you've got shows like Toy Hunter and American Pickers and Pawn Stars, and immediately when something like that comes on TV, people see it and think, "Oh, hey, I can do that." It's on TV. This is all real. I could do that. And so the problem you run into is that there is a lot of competition, especially where I live. But I'm sure all over the country there's toy dealers everywhere. It gets tougher and tougher to find some of this stuff. But I'm out there every day. First thing when I wake up in the morning, I'm at a thrift store. I'm at a garage sale. I'm at flea market. Something, anything to find this stuff before somebody else does. And that way I could put it in my shop and build my inventory. But that all kind of takes a back seat to hunting for the Ghostbuster stuff, because there's nothing when you're this into something. There's nothing like going into a garage sale or a thrift store, doing your job and looking for inventory, and that all just takes a back burner when you find a Ghostbusters figure or hell, even a VHS tape. I mean, I've got a drawer, 2 drawers. There's probably 40 copies of Ghostbusters on VHS. Why, I don't know. But
I love it. That is amazing.
It's bad, but the actual work aspect of it just goes away when you're able to find something that you yourself collect.
All right, now that's first of all, that's amazing. Now, have you ever counted how many things are in your collection?
I prefer not to be in the bedroom that long.
And
I haven't.
Maybe your wife would like you in the bedroom that long, though. That's what I'm saying, my friend.
She probably would. She would have no problem with it. As long as I get the hell away from her, I'm out of her hair, I'm not bothering her, she's more than happy with that. I would guess probably about 1,000 or a little more. I'm honestly, it might be way more than that for all I know. Like I said, I've honestly never actually taken the time to count everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it really doesn't matter the number. It's just the sheer love of what you do. It's like I collect Pez dispensers, and I mean this collection's getting ridiculous. I'm like, I don't know where I can put these anymore. I'm starting.
Well, that's the thing too. I could get one item. If I find an item somewhere, and it doesn't matter how big or small it is. If it's something even small, I have to rearrange 5 other things just to have a spot for it.
Oh, absolutely.
And, it's getting to that point. But like I said, I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. It's one thing. I've got plenty of in my shop, I've got plenty of vintage toys of all types and varieties and genres, but Ghostbusters is one thing I can never part with.
Yeah.
You know, I've had, every week I still get it. I get requests, you know, hey, do you have Ghostbusters? Hey, you know, I'm looking for these. Hey, you should sell me one of these. You know, and some of these people have really good offers as far as, you know, cash value goes.
I believe it.
And at certain times, believe me, I could use it. But, you know, to me, there's not a dollar amount on it. You know, to me, it's worth far more than that. You know, I mean, it's one of those things where when I look back on life, and I'll be 29 here in a couple weeks, and when I look back on every year before that, and you know, and you know, 40 years from now, when I'm really old, I'm looking back, you know, I could look at all the experiences I've been through, and up to this point, you know, there's been a lot of, you know, not to turn it into a therapy session here, but there's been a lot of really crazy stuff that that I've seen or experienced or have had happen to me, and you know, I can look at the Ghostbusters stuff, and I can look at this figure, I can look at this thing, and you know, I can tie a good memory to it, and really, when I look back, probably 99% of the good memories I have about life thus far somehow involve Ghostbusters. So,
and I think that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about, and that's what I want to get to too, is why we love Ghostbusters so much. And Vincent, I'm going to have you start off. What's with Ghostbusters? Why do you think people in general are so enamored with it, and why you personally are drawn to it?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's still a hilarious movie. You know, I think with every genre, comedies are the most long-standing films. You know, they seem to have the longest lifespan because comedy is timeless. You know, an action movie, the effects keep changing, and you know, every day something gets replaced or remade. You know, Ghostbusters is just kind of that long-standing, just hilarious movie. Even though they're scientists, they're pretty regular guys. You know, they don't have superpowers or anything like that. You know, but I don't know. For me, when I was a kid, I think everyone has that that one movie that you just play and play and play until the tape doesn't work anymore, and that was my movie. I like, obviously, for what I do now, it was the gear for me. Like seeing them suited up in these, you know, these giant rigs that just looked massive and heavy, and they looked tired carrying them, but you know, but they looked badass. You know, they went into the ballroom and they're tearing stuff up, and you know.
One of my favorite scenes when they're going on the elevator and that guy's like, what are you supposed to be? Some sort of cosmonaut? You know?
No, we're exterminators. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That must be one big cockroach. Bite your head off, man. I mean, that's just, it's the comedy, but like you said, they look so badass. Yeah. I mean, everyone wanted to be a Ghostbuster. I mean, the ladies want to be Ghostbusters now. I mean, and I don't blame them. I think Ghostbusters is the thing that will eventually bring the world together and peace. You know, it'll be like a peace treaty, and Ghostbusters will be brought up in the conversation. I think that's what's going to happen.
I wouldn't doubt it. You know, it's funny because that was a lot of the people always complain about the 2 logo in Ghostbusters 2, and I've heard so many different explanations. You know, yeah, it's a sequel, and they're acknowledging it's a sequel, so they're breaking the fourth wall. But a lot of it had to do with peace, you know, and it was like they were trying to promote peace at the time, and I don't know.
The whole that's the whole theme of the second one is really like, you know, becoming more positive, and you know, it was like the goo was making people, you know, angrier and more, I don't know, New York or whatever. I don't know I mean, that's what they were trying to say is like, you know, we feed off of our own, you know, energy, I guess you could say. But I mean, and that's what's kind of cool about Ghostbusters overall is it's a comedy with a really original idea. You know, pre-Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, all these guys that go around with their little, things and actually look at the paranormal from that point of view. This was, we're gonna trap ghosts, and we're gonna bust some heads, the spiritual sense, so that, that was kind of cool. And then you tie into the fact that there are kind of some underlying things that kind of just make you happy about these movies.
Yeah.
One being Rick Moranis. Everyone keeps saying we want Bill Murray back for the third one, and I'm like, I just want Rick Moranis.
I want him in anything. I just want him to come back.
Yes, I know.
I totally understand his reasons for leaving Hollywood, and I respect it. I don't imagine it's an easy thing to walk away from either. He wanted to be with his family. You can't. What are you going to say? That's beautiful. So.
Yeah, and so Andrew, where does your love of Ghostbusters come from? I know you said you didn't really know where it started, but what's your appeal to it?
Well, I think Ghostbusters is one of those movies that it appeals to a couple different types of fans. And not only does it appeal, to the comedy people who in that generation it was Ghostbusters, Meatballs, Stripes, Animal House, Blues Brothers, that kind of stuff. And later on, stuff like What About Bob and Groundhog Day. It appeals to comedy fans, but it also appeals to horror fans as well, because there is a certain amount of surprise involved in the first time that you watch it. And it's one of those things where you even as a kid, when I first saw it, you can watch it and you're not scared because it's funny and it's cool, and it basically took the edge off the horror aspect of it, but there's still enough there that it reels those people in. And and like I said, for me, I don't remember exactly how I started liking it, but I did. I grew up on the cartoon first. I didn't see the movie until I was about 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the cartoon was something I watched every single day. And
oh yeah,
it was on our Fox station where I lived, and every day when it was over and the end credits were playing and the Ghostbusters were in the street dancing along to the parade, I would cry. And I would cry and just lose it because Ghostbusters was over. And so eventually, as with every family in the 80s, we got our own VCR. And that led to my mom taping it every day. And we would watch that tape, and I'd say, Mom, I don't have to cry anymore.
You hear that, kids? Tape it. You got to tape it. No DVR involved. No,
you tape it. The first time I remember seeing the movie, we rented it from the video store, because back then, to buy a videotape of any movie was ridiculously expensive.
Right.
So we always rented the movie, and I was hooked right away, and automatically it was that was what we rented every time, and I watched it over and over and over. And every time I'd go to a friend's house or a babysitter, it was, hey, do you have Ghostbusters? I want to watch Ghostbusters. And the first copy I ever got of the movie, and I'll make a long story short, but my mom, when we moved to where I live at now, when I was a kid, my mom worked at the daycare, and every day after lunch they'd let the kids take the dishes downstairs to the kitchen to get washed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took the dishes down, and I was running back upstairs, and all of a sudden I tripped and fell. Don't know what happened. I ended up tripping on a toy car, breaking my ankle. And
wow.
While I was at home, all nice and drugged up and in a cast, and half in pain and thinking I'll never walk again, my dad had called from work and said he had a surprise for me. And when he got home that night, that I had my first copy of Ghostbusters. And
wow.
The funniest thing in the world, though, was right. You were talking about that elevator scene. Right as they got off the elevator and fired at the maid in the hallway, I looked at my parents and said, I think I have to pee. And they rushed over and had to carry me to the bathroom. It was a false alarm. It was this whole big thing. But, you know, like I said, and really, when somebody loves it or has a soft spot for it, you know, maybe they don't have to be, you know, as crazy about it as I am or Vince is. But, you know, if it's a movie that people remember, I think, you know, that's how we carry it on. Because now, you know, I watch it, and my 3-year-old nephew is all kinds of into it.
Right.
It's one of those things where we'll watch it, and it'll get over. And he'll come up and say, I want to watch it again.
Isn't that amazing? It's transcending generations. This is like a movie that literally our children will be showing their children, and it'll still be a fresh, brand new movie. I mean, they'll still be going, people really dressed strange back then. But still, it'll still work. That's a lovely story. I mean, that's kind of another thing. This is kind of a movie that reminds you of, I like to call it the golden age of cinema. You know, you talk about the beginning films, you know, where acting was acting, and then there's this genre of movie that was like around in the 80s and the early 90s, which are films that kind of resonate with people, and they don't make them like that anymore, like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And these are movies that they don't make anymore, and I don't know why, because films like Ghostbusters are everything that that people look for in a film. It's funny, like you said, it's got a horror aspect, but it's also not so much so that kids can't watch it, so you can watch it with kids. I mean, it just kind of transcends generations, and my nephew loves it too. And I showed it to him for the first time. He's cracking up at it. He doesn't get all the adult humor, but when you watch it later on when you're older, I mean, man, you get those adult jokes, and you're like, oh my God, it's so funny. So, anyway,
well, I think one of the things is too. Don't mean to cut you off, but real quick.
Go ahead.
You know, stuff like Ghostbusters or The Breakfast Club or Ferris Bueller.
Right.
You know, everybody, even to this day, you see teenage kids going to Hot Topic, and look at what they have to buy, and look what they're wearing. They're, you know, I mean, granted, some of them dress pretty creepy, but they're wearing Breakfast Club shirts. You know, things like that. Those, you know, 10, 15 years from now, nobody's going to remember The Matrix. I mean, maybe they will, but you know, it's not going to be the thing to you know, oh hey, this is retro and cool. Nobody's going to be that way about those things. I think the 80s. I think that's where your best decade of movies comes from, and you know, some 90s,
sure.
But I think the 80s has that beat.
Yeah, and now let's get to favorite Ghostbuster and favorite scene in Ghostbusters. One or two. Vincent, what you think?
You know, I prefer the first film. I always have, but I really appreciate the second film a lot more as an adult than I could as a kid. As a kid, I was like, oh, the Statue of Liberty's walking. That's stupid. The slime is stupid. I don't like the slime blowers. Right. It's all grown on me a lot, and I think the second film was actually maybe a little funnier. Like in the, you know, throughout the course of the movie, I think there's a lot more jokes, and it's just a funnier, happier movie. But the first one has like kind of a special place in my heart.
Of course. And now your favorite character. What would be your?
It's always been Bankman. You know, from the films and the cartoons. I mean, I really love all the characters. I do, but Bankman was always the one that I flocked to as a kid. So.
And your favorite scene? What's the scene that constantly stands out amongst the rest?
That changes all the time. It really does. As a kid, I just always loved when they first walk into the Sedgwick, the first time you see them in their gear, that to me was just the moment where like the movie changes and it becomes, you know, the movie it's about to become. I really like now. I love the interactions between Winston and Ray in the Ecto-1 when they're driving around. It's just a very human moment.
Yep.
And I really like Winston's character, and I like that he kind of gets like some quality screen time in that scene. And I don't know. I like that scene a lot.
Excellent. What about you, Andrew? What's your favorite Ghostbuster character and your favorite scene?
You know, Venkman would be the natural choice, but I'm going to do a 180 and go with Egon and Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
The very, very dry sense of humor that he portrayed on the screen, you know, and
so good.
Just everything he did with that character was genius. You know, you know, Bill Murray is funny because Bill Murray's supposed to be funny. You know, Dan Aykroyd is there to, you know, he's kind of a blend between funny and serious, and Ernie Hudson's there to play the straight man, wanting answers to all the questions the audience is asking. But Harold Ramis, you know, Egon, I'm pretty sure there was. I was such a fan of Egon as a kid that I'm pretty sure there was about a 2-week period in my life where I answered only Egon. I don't care that my name's Andrew.
I love it.
Egon. So yeah, I would say Egon for sure. And then as far as my favorite scene, I have to go with the scene where they're in the mayor's office trying to convince him that, you know, not only should they be, you know, not be in jail and should they be able to go do their job, but it's about to get serious really quick if something isn't done. You know, because at that point in the film, it's kind of subtly been hinted to that, you know, oh, hey, these guys are responsible for all this. You know, nothing is as it seems. These guys are behind all of it, and they're conning people out of money. You know, and then it gets to the point where not only do they have to sell themselves to the mayor, but then, you know, they have to literally open his eyes and show him, you know, hey, hell's going to take over Earth real quick if you're not hurried. You know, if you don't hurry and make a decision, we're all screwed.
Plus, you'll be saving so many registered voters. Oh man, that to me, I like both of your choices because those are two of my favorite too. But I really love Ray, Dan Aykroyd's character. You know, I guess I like the guy who kind of gets beat up a lot. You know, with the humor. You know. Bill Murray's character picks on him a lot, and you know, even Egon kind of pokes fun at him every once in a while. So Ray's the character that kind of takes the brunt of the joke, but doesn't know that he's the brunt of the joke, and which makes it so enduring. It's kind of the same humor that Chris Farley had, you know, where he was the butt of the joke, but he didn't know any better. You know, when he slides down the pole and he's like, this place is great, and we should get our stuff. We should stay here. We should stay the night here. Don't you think? And they were just trying to, like, totally Stonewall Jackson the ladies selling him the place, and he just blows it, and then he just runs away, and they're like, it's Ray. What are you gonna do? It's Ray. So, I mean, that's, to me, one of my favorite characters. Now, my favorite scene, I think, is an Egon scene where Bill Murray gives him the candy bar and goes, you've earned it. It's just so subtle and ridiculous, and like he's like a, you know, he's such a brainiac, and like he's such a trained, you know, mind that, like, you know, in this universe, we just see, we see him being like a trained monkey, where he just gets like a banana every time he does something right or something. You know, it's just so silly. But I mean, that's what I love about the film and the films overall. Now, the 30th anniversary. How did you guys celebrate? Did you see it in theaters? I certainly did. And how many times did you see it?
I actually, unfortunately, did not get to see it in theaters, but I have. When I lived in California, there were a lot of screenings. I got to see it in the theater about 10 times as an adult, and in fact, one time, I believe it was at the Venetian, they played an original print, an unopened canister of original film. It was beautiful. It was the first time that the reel had been used, and it was beautiful. It had the grain, and it was not touched up. It was perfect though. It was exactly how I remember it as a kid. So
that's sweet. Now, Andrew, what you think? How many times did you see it, man? We talked about this.
Too many. Far too many. I saw it. I myself went 7 days in a row, so 7 times. Took my wife went twice, and my 3-year-old nephew I took with me 3 times. So all in all, 12 tickets purchased. Like I said, I went 7 days in a row. My goal was to see it every day, and I got to the point where it was going to be the last day, and by that point I was kind of on burnout. But it was going to be the last day, and that was going to be fine. And then they decided to renew it for another week. So. And
you're like, damn it! I don't have the money for this.
I say, you know what? 7's good. Let's just leave it at that. And then over the course of that 7 days, I probably watched it. I don't know how many times at home with my nephew. So.
No. Excellent. And you know what I liked about it? Was my wife and I went to go see it, and it was grainy. It was and I think my wife goes, oh, weren't they going to touch it up or anything? And I'm like, I kind of like it like this, It's just kind of gives it that, feel, I don't know. So to go back though, who's a person you've met from the Ghostbusters universe and was really either pleasantly surprised or completely disappointed? Vincent, go ahead.
It's going to sound like I'm name dropping now because I've met a lot of them. I have met Dan Aykroyd several times, and he's always just like, he's a gentleman and a sweetheart. He's like so welcoming.
Yeah. Does a lot for children.
I've never been disappointed by any of the interactions I've had with anybody. Met a lot of the Ernie Hudson a few times. Also, great guy, just really nice. He's someone who like really cares about his fans. And if you follow the kind of stuff he does online, you can see that the guy cares about his fans. Real quick, like I've met Robin Shelby, who played Slimer in Ghostbusters 2. She's like the nicest lady you'll ever meet. Doing shout outs now. Steve Johnson, like one of the greatest effects guys in history. He's still doing amazing stuff. Billy Bryan was the original Stay Puft. He made and wore the suit. Awesome dude. I actually was invited to his birthday party like last week, and I'm in Colorado now, so I couldn't go. Who else? Joe Medjuk did a screening with us one time. He did a Q&A. Michael Gross, awesome guy. And I don't know. This hobby has just allowed me access to the coolest people in the world. And I've done commissions for celebrities not related to the film. Like I don't want to really say anyone's name or anything, but
right.
This has kind of just plugged me into the world that I love, like that I idolize. I love film. I love Hollywood. So this has been, it's like the greatest thing. I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world. I can really say, I'm humbled and I'm happy that I get to do this because just the level of access that it's gotten me is unbelievable. So,
and are the orders flowing in for you?
I I had a job as a programmer. I've been doing programming for 8 or 9 years, and I left my career in May to do props full time. So
that's awesome.
Things are going pretty well.
That says it right there. That's amazing, Vincent. All right, Andrew, you're up, sir.
I met nobody. They all hate me. The only one I've gotten lucky enough to meet in person was Ernie Hudson, and he was a great guy. Signed my DVD for me, and just overall was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. Back when I used to have a nostalgia website that I ran for a while, and I was lucky enough to get to interview Robin Shelby, and her and I still talk here and there occasionally. She said that we got married, me and my wife got married in July of 2013, and she sent us a video on our wedding day. I also did a really, really great, nearly hour-long interview with Michael Gross. You can find that on my Mr. Ghostbuster blog. He was, and I still talk to him here and there. He actually commented on one of my Facebook statuses the other day. But spending that hour on the phone with him, not only did I learn a few things, but just all the experience he's had in his life, when working for National Lampoon or working with Ivan Reitman, and all these people he's gotten to work with and meet over the years, it's almost like if you walked up to him on the street and didn't know who he was, you'd think he was the biggest pathological liar on the planet. Just because there's no way that anybody has been around so many things and people, but he has, and he's full of excellent stories, Ghostbusters included. And then probably one of my favorites, probably my favorite would have to be Jennifer Runyon, who of course was Bill Murray, Peter Venkman's interest in the first film and in one of the opening scenes where he's showing the playing cards to the college students. Her and I talk quite frequently. I got to do an interview with her for my old website, and we talked about her career. We talked about Charles in Charge and Brady Bunch, and of course Ghostbusters. And we got really lucky. Probably 2 or 3 weeks after the interview, Yahoo did a Charles in Charge Where Are They Now article and used part of my interview for that article. So we got pretty lucky with that, and we've been friends ever since, and that's probably been about 1.5 years now. I know you, Brian, were geeking out here a minute ago before we started because she liked your status on your Facebook page.
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
So she's been really cool. She's one of the nicest celebrities I've ever gotten to interact with. There's been some that have been rather disappointing that aren't in the Ghostbusters realm, but as far as everybody I've interacted with from Ghostbusters, I couldn't ask for better experiences, and it's cool to not only have bragging rights saying, oh yeah, I interviewed this person or I met this person, but to get to know the people and have them support you in what you do. It adds fuel to the fire to make you want to keep doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I met Ernie Hudson this year at the Motor City Comic Con. Really cool guy. I think I met him at like a time of day where he must have just been beat. The guy looked like he had been spending all day at the con, and he was just like, man, I just want to get home. The other thing is I do public relations sometimes, and there was this time where I was working for an organization that was doing like a raffle type thing. And they were raising money for Women of Westland, which is like this organization that helps women from this specific city. and the unfortunate incidents where they don't have money to go to college and do this really cool organization that helps them do that. So Dan Aykroyd sends, and I just by whim sent him a message and just said, hey, I'm doing this charity thing. We got a couple of things from some celebrities. Paula Deen sent some stuff. Blah, blah. Would you mind just sending something? I was like, no way this guy's going to reply. He sends me 4 signed things. Gives me a signed copy of Ghostbusters, and he gives me a book that his brother wrote. He autographed. He got me an autographed picture and one other thing. And anyways, it was amazing. I mean, the guy is just so giving and caring. And long story short, that organization never got that event started, so I donated it to the Children's Leukemia Foundation of Michigan because I do that every year. I go to their big 24-hour movie marathon. And they were just so ecstatic with they had something from Dan Aykroyd. It was amazing. It made some big money for their organization, so it was really cool. So anyways, that's the kind of level of giving that I've seen from people from Ghostbusters, and they, like you said, Ernie Hudson really loves his fans. You could tell that. I mean, his line was like a mile long, and people just love these characters and love these actors and love these people so much. And I don't know. I love this film. Now, that all being aside, how can we get in contact with you, Vincent, for V330 Creations, and then Andrew, we'll see how we can get in contact with you for your stuff.
I don't actually have a website up right now. I've just been using Facebook.
Okay.
It's just facebook.com /V330 Creations.
Very cool.
And send a message right to the page. I get back to him pretty quickly.
Yeah, and check out his stuff. I mean, it is amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, really, really, really good. And we've talked about this. I've looked around, a couple of different people, and your stuff is really top notch.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Andrew, how can people check out? We're going to post some pictures of your collection, but how can they get in contact with you for the vintage toys? I know there's a lot of collectors out there, especially in the nerd culture genre, that might want to get a hold of some stuff.
Well, just come on over to my house. I'll get you a beer, make you a peanut butter sandwich. The best way would be on Facebook. You can just search me under Mr. Ghostbuster. That's the easiest way to find me. I can, we can talk Ghostbusters, or I can answer any questions anybody might have about vintage toys. Or my website, gbcollector.blogspot.com. That way, that's a good way for people to check out. I do a post every few days. Where I highlight one item in my collection and write a little bit about it, whether it be. What's that? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I thought I heard someone ask something. But no, I highlight one item, from my collection each post. I might not do a full-on review. I might have a story behind the item. Cool. It's just kind of random stuff. But either way, Facebook or the website. My email is on the website as well. Always more than happy to, just talk with people. I've got almost 3,300 followers on my Facebook page right now, and there's a lot of times I get emails on Facebook from people telling me how much they love my collection, and or saying, hey, I used to have this. That's so cool. I like hearing that from people. I like interacting with people, and right now on my blog, I've got the first annual Halloween countdown going on, where we're reviewing 31 ghosts in 31 days. So
Sweet.
guarantee you by October 31st, I'm going to be completely tired of doing anything with the website for about a week.
I know how that goes, my friend. I know how that goes. That's awesome. I love it. I love the idea. I will be following that for sure. So that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This concludes the interview portion of the show, but we want to get to the topics at hand, and we've talked about this a little bit beforehand, but apparently there's a movie coming out based on some very vintage video game, I guess you could say. I don't really know how this is going to be a movie. I can't fathom how this will be a movie, but it's Tetris, the movie. That's right. You love Soviet music and building blocks so much that it had to be brought to the real screen, starring Shia LaBeouf and maybe who else could we throw in there? Ron Howard. I think Ron Howard should come back in front of the. Yeah, I think he needs to come back in front of the camera. So that would be an amazing movie. I would definitely go see that. What do you guys think?
I've seen in my Facebook feed for like the last 2 days, I have seen that story pop up about 200 times, and I have so far just adamantly refused to click on it because I don't want to accept that that's where we're at in Hollywood right now.
Either that, or like you said, it's like the biggest joke in the world, and like someone made that article up and is like feeding it in. You know how there was like a Battleship movie?
That happened though.
It happened, right? But it was horrible. It was horrible.
It was really. There's one part in that movie. This is like my favorite line, and sometimes I'll just say this to some friends of mine. But like, there's one part in the movie where one guy goes to another. How are your driving skills? That's something you ask people.
Some screenwriter thought that up.
Yeah.
That's the sad part. But I'm like, what's next? Like Hungry Hippos? Like, I mean, seriously, we can't make movies out of inanimate object video games.
Well, I think along the lines of what Ben said, I refuse to click on it. Some things are just too stupid to be seen. Let's face it, the video game movie crossover industry, while not very big, doesn't have a very successful track record. I mean, let's look at Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Careful! I love that movie.
It's got its nostalgic feel to it, though. But
right.
I mean, but let's face it. What's his name played Koopa, and that was not like, in my opinion, what Koopa looked like. But hey.
Well, I'll put it this way: why are we getting a Tetris movie before we get a full-blown Zelda movie?
Right. That's a good point. Or a Metroid. Like, I've been waiting for a Metroid movie forever,
Well, they're not little... I mean, what's this movie going to be like? It's going to be, oh, hey, the little L-shaped guy is pissed off at the long, stringy guy. You know what? As long as the screen fills up with something and a line clears and it flashes really big, I'm happy with it.
Right. That's going to be box office success.
I'm there. You got my money.
I just hope it's like practical props and like actual blocks and not CG blocks, because come on.
Right. And see, that's...
I have a feeling they're going to use too much CGI, though.
Yeah, I know, right?
Take away my realism.
They'll have Andy Serkis playing a block and...
Andy Serkis is a block. He's really transcending that whole motion capture acting thing. He's going to be like the little like the cross one. You know? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I would go see it just out of pure curiosity, but it's like Sharknado. You know, it's like one of those things where you go, I'll see it, but I'm not going to claim to like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll wear a T-shirt that says Tetris the movie just for fun, but I'm not going to say this is like top 10 in my movie collection. No. Anyways, another big movie that was from the generation that we were talking about of amazing movies, Big. When Big came out with Tom Hanks, an amazing movie, right? An original type story where it took the whimsy of being a kid and, you know, kind of played fun with it. You know, what would you do if, you know, you were a kid but you were a full-grown adult and you had to like kind of play in the world of adults as a kid. You know, it's an amazing idea. But they've now see, this is what's happening in Hollywood. Now they're taking movie ideas and making them into television shows. And that's what's happening. Big is going to be a television show. And I don't know how I feel about it because it was one of those movies, like you said, you don't want to see a Ferris Bueller television show. I mean, unless it actually has Matthew Broderick in it, I don't really care to see it. You know what I'm saying?
What was it? Parker Lewis Can't Lose, though. You remember that? It basically was like Ferris Bueller.
It did remind me of that. Oh my God! I can't believe you brought up Parker Lewis Can't Lose on USA Network, dude. That was a great show. But I mean,
that was like the Duckman era.
Yeah, exactly. And they had Weird Science for a while too. They had a Weird Science TV show. Okay, maybe I gotta take my maybe Big is gonna be good because that was good. I really liked the Weird Science TV show.
Do you remember? No one else remembers this. Do you remember the Maniac Mansion TV series?
Maniac Man.
It was a Nintendo game, and they made a series out of it.
I don't remember that.
No one does. No one believes me.
Maniac Mansions. Have you ever seen that, Andrew? TV show?
Never seen it. Never seen. But I think the whole case with a big TV show, and now I think I heard the other day they're doing another vacation movie. You know, what's old is new again. You know, and it's a history, or it's one of those things where Hollywood has a history of repeating itself. I mean, let's look at the '90s. You know, we had Brady Bunch the movie. You know, just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, now it's one of those things where, oh hey, the '80s are popular. Let's, and we've got a really great show on TV right now called The Goldbergs. I'm missing it right now, Brian.
I'm sorry, man.
But it's a great show. It's kind of our generation's Wonder Years.
Right.
And and now, of course, the big TV show they're talking about, the Tetris movie. You know, it's one of those things where the '80s are kind of the it thing, and 10 or 15 years from now, it'll be the '90s, and we'll see a Space Jam remake, or we'll
see Hammer the movie.
We'll see something just really bad. But like I said, I think it's the fascination with society right now is the '80s and that time period. So, I think it's more of a fad than anything. But being as it's my favorite decade, why not let it live a little bit?
Yeah. Plus, I really want to see that awesome fortune teller machine again, because that didn't creep the shit out of me the first time I saw it. Holy cow!
I've always wanted to do a Halloween costume of the fortune teller machine and just build a box and just kind of stick out.
Vincent,
one of these years I'm going to have enough time.
I'll be waiting to watch it on your Facebook feed. There it is. Oh, man, that's amazing. Yeah, and it's just so creepy. But anyways, off of that subject, we've got to move on to bigger and better things. Ghostbusters. This is kind of related to what we were talking about earlier, but the Lady Ghostbusters idea. Okay. We all know Ghostbusters 3 has been a much contested. Will this ever be done? It's been in pre-production forever. We want it to move forward. I don't know how this came about, but somehow, somewhere down the line, someone said, okay, if we can't get this made, Harold Ramis has passed, Bill Murray's not really interested, what could we do? And the next idea, which I think is really kind of brilliant, is let the ladies have a shot at it. There's a lot of great comedians out there who are blowing the roof off of comedy, in my opinion, and deserve a shot in the Ghostbusters suit, and I would love to see it. I don't know how you feel about it, but let me know what you think about the Lady Ghostbusters idea.
I'd be okay with it. And saying it that way probably didn't sound so great. I think it's a good idea. I don't. There's been a lot of ire about it, and don't touch my Ghostbusters. And the thing about it is I kind of take it all with a grain of salt because we've been hearing about sequels since 1999. It was really the first time, and actually supposedly was even greenlit then.
Right.
And there was pre-production, there was a script, and it was called Ghostbusters in Hell, and you can actually read a portion of the script. I don't remember who has it posted, but the script got released at some point. But we've been hearing about
script.
Oh, proton charging. Proton charging has.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's. I kind of feel like the whole female Ghostbuster thing. It could work. I don't feel like it was an actual pitch. That seemed like someone saying throw it against the wall and we'll see what sticks. There's just been so many revisions and so many concepts, and I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it, and I'll be there opening day if it happens. But
this is my thing with it. So when it was brought up, at first I was like, I don't know if I like this. But when they started throwing some names out there, I started getting excited. They're talking Melissa McCarthy.
Kristen Wiig, right?
Yeah, Kristen Wiig. I would even love to see Tina Fey. It's kind of like the Egon or the straight-laced character who is just trying to always keep everything in order, but chaos ensues. I think the problem, and I hate to say this, is nowadays there's not enough good young male comedians, in my opinion, that could pull this movie off as an ensemble. I really don't think so. I'm thinking of names, and I can't really put together a list of guys.
Well, they've always been speculating on the Apatow guys, the guys from all the Apatow movies, and I'd be okay with that too.
I think that would work, but I think it'd be a different kind of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I think it would be Ghostbusters if it met Hangover or something, and I think that's a good idea. I think it's a valid idea. But when I think of really good, solid comedians out there, I really can't think of any more, a young, hip group of young male actors. I can only really think of a bunch of really good female actors that would be good for it. So when the concept came out, I guess I just immediately said, this really could work, because I could see even Dan Aykroyd, Ray being the coach, if you will, of the team, of ladies who are kind of revamping the Ghostbuster franchise.
Well,
Are you
the
reading
way
the
I've always,
comic?
the way I always kind of wanted to see a Ghostbusters 3 would be, and I'm kind of on both sides of the fence of it, where on one hand it's like, okay, you know, if it's done right, I'd watch it. Or you know, on the other side, it's like, oh, just let it die already. You know, and don't taint the original at all.
Right.
But I think, though, if they were to do it, I think what they ought to do is have something where you've got the new team of Ghostbusters. You know, now whether or not, you know, in the beginning of the movie, whether or not they're fully trained or not, you know, it can go either way. But basically, when you know, Manhattan turns to hell, something happens to this new team of Ghostbusters, and the originals, which at this point would really only be probably Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson, because, you know, Harold Ramis is gone, and Bill Murray doesn't really want any part of it. But you take the originals, and the originals have to save them, and then once the originals locate the new guys, you know, something happens, and they all have to band together. I think if they were to do it, whether it's all male, all female, some of both, whatever, it needs to have a good blend of old and new. They can't just completely blow off everything that's happened before. You know, I know there's been a little bit of talk about doing a complete reboot or a remake.
Oh.
You know, and just starting fresh. Which at that point, that's where I kind of draw the line and say, you know, I probably not. Granted, I mean, it's been 25 plus years for me, so I'd support it either way. But at that point, I would rather not see one. However, if they did a third movie and it was a direct sequel to, you know, the two before it, I think they have to have that good blend of old and new for it to work. And then, you know, if for some reason they were ever to do a fourth or fifth movie or something, then that new team could carry those films. But I think, you know, much like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which a lot of people hated, but I didn't mind. You know, in Indy, it was kind of one of those. It was supposed to be initially when it was coming out and rumors were going around. It was supposed to be a passing the torch kind of movie where Shia LaBeouf would, you know, have the next movie, and it would be all. Luckily for everybody, that never happened. But you know, I think it does. It needs to be a true passing of the torch movie where there's the perfect combination of old and new for it to work. Otherwise, you know, at that point, if it was just a fresh story, I'd still support it, but I don't think I could get behind it as much as I could the other way.
Yeah. I just want the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to come back.
I'm laughing a little because that's like the fourth time we brought up Shia on this.
I know. Poor guy. No, he's really talented guy, and you know what? It's the Hollywood that screws with these really talented people, and you know what? I gotta say, being under the microscope 24/7, I gotta imagine that would drive anyone to be a little bit, you know, eccentric. So, anyways, I agree, guys. I think the future of Ghostbusters 3 is yet to be seen. I really hope it happens, and I hope it happens in a way that makes the new generation happy and the old generation happy, because I'm really worried about it being another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, another, you know, this new idea of
Transformers.
Shia LaBeouf. That's exactly. You know, that's the problem, is you can't just slap cool on it and just, you know, release it to the wild. You know, spend some time on the script a little bit, you know?
They've had 30 years.
They've had 30 years, but come on, Vincent. Maybe they're just really perfecting it. Who knows? But I don't know. So anyways, moving on. Did anybody see Chris Pratt on SNL?
I didn't get to catch the episode. I saw all the bumpers that they were running beforehand. It was good stuff. Yeah. I've been watching Parks and Rec since it came out. I love Chris Pratt. Like he's awesome.
Great. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy was fantastic. But if you go back, watch the sketch with he's basically poking fun of himself and Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy because it's like making fun of movie concepts, and that Guardians of the Galaxy was just basically, you know, which this is completely ridiculous because Guardians of the Galaxy has been a comic book that's been around for a lot longer than the film. But anyways, SNL didn't get that memo, so they tried to make fun of it by saying it was just basically 4 random things, you know, like a tree and a and a raccoon and a guy with, you know, or 5, you know, and then the girl with the green and the guy with the goggles, and you just throw them together. But like, and they kept like spoofing like 5 different things. And at one point, it was like just like 5 inanimate objects, like a toilet paper roll and you know, and it was just so ridiculous. And at the end, it said, "Now Marvel's gonna do Star Wars," and Chris Pratt like comes out in like the Leia outfit, and it was just great. So go back and definitely watch that. It was totally worth seeing. Last but not least, we got Collector's Corner this week. Collector's Corner is a little bit what Andrew was talking about, what he used to do on his blog. It's basically a nerdy show and tell. We get to sit here, pick something from our collections, and just kind of geek out about it and tell us a little story about it, or you know what you like about it, or you know whatever. So mine's pretty simple this week. But it's Ghostbuster themed. Surprise, surprise. I've been starting to collect these vinyls, these the pop movie vinyl figures, and I got the Slimer recently, and I think it's so cool because it reminds me so much of the movie Slimer, you know, which was supposed to be like the ghost of John Belushi apparently. Which just cracks me up because every time I watch it now I go, man, they're really not saying very nice things about John Belushi. Well,
it was the Animal House role, so you know.
Yeah, well, that's true. Bluto, so it's like the ghost of Bluto. So, anyways, this is going to be in my collection, and I'm always going to remember because it's just, I love Ghostbusters. Slimer for me was one of my favorite characters in the cartoon series, besides Egon, who was my second favorite character. So, tops of the shelf right here, buddy. I'm going to put this bad boy right next to, surprise, surprise, my Christmas Story vinyl, which I just got at the Christmas Story house in Cleveland. So, yeah. So that's my my little collection corner of the week, and I can't wait to get more of these because I really want to take them out of the box and play with them. Is anyone else like that? You know, I'm one of those guys who I can't stand the fact that it's sitting in this box, but then I think one day it's okay because my kids will do it anyways. I'll be gone one day, and I'm going to get home and all the stuff's going to be out of the box, so I'm going to be like, whatever, that's cool anyway. So. Vincent, what you got?
All right. So this is not necessarily my favorite piece, but this is one of my most unique. So.
Excellent. Unique is good. We've had a brick from the Yellow Brick Road. We've had all kinds of weird stuff on the show. I love it. Oh my gosh.
This was a kit that that I produced. Very short run of. We only did about 15 or 20 of these. We did this about maybe 5 years ago now. And I say I produced it. I did nothing on this. The concept was mine. I provided all the reference material. I hired a sculptor. His name was Byron Jungerion. I probably said that wrong, but awesome sculptor. And basically, I wanted to have a Vigo in scale with the 12-inch Matty collector things that were coming out. So he did the sculpt for hire, and some friends helped get a lot of photos of the original suit and it's 3 pieces. You know, it actually comes out, and you can actually see like all the detail on the back. He did all those striping. We had reference of absolutely everything except for the boots, so we just went with a basic boot on the bottom. But you know, he did it in 3 pieces, and then I had this one painted and commissioned also.
Does it ever talk to you, Vin? Does it ever talk to you?
He only says insulting things, like...
He's like the musical bass, you know? Yeah. It just says... He's
like, you're worthless. Get back to work.
Man, that was a character that freaked me out. That is a sweet collector's corner, dude. Wow. Amazing. And how much did those go for?
I don't remember. We did them in raw kit form. We basically got like a raw unpainted kit. I think they were around like $150, which if you I'm into a lot of garage model kits. It's kind of like around the going rate for like a good garage kit.
Awesome. And Andrew, we can't see yours, my friend, but tell us what like the prize of your collection is. You kind of mentioned one earlier about the Egon, but what's one that just like blows the lid off of your collection? That
well, I tell you, if you get some tweezers and a magnifying glass, you'll see it's no problem. In the pictures that you had posted on your Facebook page, if you look up to the very top, you can see my Ghostbusters 2 Hardee's banner, and that would have hung outside all the Hardee's restaurants in 1989, which coincided with the promotion of the film. And I was able to score that off of eBay last winter. Initially, there had been one on there, and it had been the first time in about 10 years that I had seen one. And I threw a ridiculously high bid down on it and got outbid. And so I kept bidding it up, and I think come the last hour or so, I was in the lead with it was like $122 bid, and because at this point I didn't care how much it cost me, I had to have this thing, and with literally 2 seconds left, I got outbid by 50 cents, and wow. I have never to this day said as many F-bombs and cuss words in a row as I did at that moment in my life. I got lucky, though, about a month later, and there was another one on there. And the starting bid was $20, so I threw that down. It went a week, and no one else touched it. And so I got it in my collection now. It's hanging up on the wall. And I like to look at it, not only thinking about, all the cool stuff Hardee's had with Ghostbusters 2 and memories of seeing the Ecto 1A at our little Hardee's where I grew up. But I like knowing that somewhere somebody had to pay $100 more for theirs.
That's awesome. I'm just showing a little slideshow of the different pieces in your collection, and if you see the one that's
seen this before. This is really cool.
It's pretty sweet, huh? You've got 4 different Ghostbuster firehouses. Is that what?
Yeah. I've got 4. If we got time, I'll tell you the story behind that. Christmas of 1989. The one thing I wanted more than anything was Ghostbuster Firehouse. We were still living in York, Nebraska, which is a little town, and we had come to the town I'm living now, Lincoln, Nebraska. Right. We had come up here to visit do something for the day, shop around, whatever. And we had gone into Target, and I saw them sitting on the end cap, and I wanted one so bad. And my parents made me settle for a Power Pack Heroes Louis Tully figure.
Damn it!
I know, right? But damn it, I wanted one for Christmas, and that's what I was going to get. I even went and saw Santa. I told him, I said, look, that's what I'm getting. That's it. I don't care what. I don't want I don't want Ninja Turtle stuff. I don't want Mario pajamas. I don't want a bucket of Legos. I want the Ghostbuster firehouse. Christmas morning came and went, and there was Ninja Turtles, and there was Mario pajamas, and there was a bucket of Legos, and no Ghostbuster firehouse. And so I still give my mom crap all these years later that I didn't get one for Christmas that year. I did luckily get one a short time after that. How far in between, I don't really remember, but I did get one. And I've gotten lucky and acquired a few of them over the years. I've even got a couple of boxes for in my collection. But one of the coolest ones I came across was the third one I found, and that was this last spring. And I was, out in the morning as usual, driving around garage sales and thrift stores and stuff like that. And I had gotten done at a garage sale, and I said, no joke, can't make it up. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if I went into Goodwill this morning, and in the very back where all the toys are, there was a Ghostbuster firehouse sitting there. Well, I go to Goodwill and get back to the toy section, which is always the first place I check out. And sure enough, there's a Ghostbuster firehouse sitting there for $3.99. Oh. And it made sure
$3.99.
$3.99. That's it. But yeah, I've got 4 of them now. I've got four firehouses and 2 empty boxes for the firehouse headquarters. It's been a cool thing, and Ghostbusters, it has been really good to me. At times it can be frustrating when you want people to see your collection or know about you, and you get passed up for magazines or interviews and stuff like that. But on the collecting end of it, it's great. I love it. I love finding the stuff. I love getting the stuff. The only thing that frustrates me is when some a-hole eBay seller gets a hold of something before me and throws it on eBay, and the minute it gets sold, that's the last you see of it. But like I say, the collecting aspect of it, and really just the whole thing. And I started doing the Mr. Ghostbuster thing in January of this year, and it's already gotten bigger than I ever thought it could. And it's been really good. The fans I have, the followers I have on Facebook are some of the coolest people on the planet. And Brian, I know you're one of them, and you had contacted me about doing the show tonight, and and I'm always happy to do it, and it's always fun just to talk Ghostbusters and nerdy stuff, because my wife and my friends, it only gets so far. Not everybody has the same appreciation or passion for something as you do, and it's nice to be able to share that with people from all over the country and all over the world.
Absolutely, and yeah, that's what the show's all about. When I started the Not So Cool Kids, it was about sharing people's passions with other people and kind of informing them, because I didn't know anything about live action role play, and then I did a show about live action role play, LARPing. And I learned it's the coolest things. And this is a whole community of people. That's international people that love this LARPing. And it's like Ghostbusters. People love Ghostbusters. Always will. Till the day, the end of days, Ghostbusters will still be popular. Which is kind of funny because when you go back and you listen to the interviews of some of the actors that are were in the show, they just say it's been one of the best and the worst things because people just associate you with Ghostbusters, which I could totally get that. But man, what a thing to be associated with, right?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, it's amazing. So anyways, I just want to thank our guests tonight. Vincent, we got to have you back on, and Andrew, I'd love to have you guys back on sometime as guest hosts for shows. You're really interesting guys to talk to. Vincent, best of luck to you with the prop making, sir. I love the fact that you quit your job and you're just devoting the passion to your love, your love of making props. So keep on it, man. It's so cool. And definitely hit him up because he makes some of the best in the biz. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on, man. Hearing your stories of why Ghostbusters is important to you and why it reminds me of exactly why I think I like it so much is the nostalgic feeling. It takes me right back to childhood, sitting in my PJs in the morning watching the real Ghostbusters, and then being a young little kid and watching Ghostbusters for the first time, and being really scared at that scene, in the library where the yeah, exactly right. Everyone was when the old lady turns into the scary ghost, and then going and just laughing at the rest of it because it's this phenomenal movie. So, thank you so much for sharing your collection with us tonight, Andrew.
Anytime, man. Happy to do it.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming on for the Not So Cool Kids podcast this evening. Episode 52, the Ghostbusters anniversary special. It'll never be 30 years again. Maybe like 40, but I'll be probably 6 feet under by then. Who knows? I don't know where this show will be by then. So anywho's it's. Come on back for the Not So Cool Kids podcast. We'll have some more guests on with me. And meanwhile, check out the website, www.thenotsocoolkidspodcast.com. And, we try to update it as much as possible. But I'm a one-man show right now, and it's quite taxing, ladies and gentlemen. So we will try to do it for you, but thank you so much for sticking around, and El Fita same.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Thanks, Brian.
See you later, guys.
We'll have to talk, too.